There they are.
Okay. All right. So this is graphic design, English and PE, and here's PJ Butta for you guys.
Hey guys. Yeah, sure. Just a little head nod. So I know you're not AI. Just move your
Yeah,
head. So, thumbs up. Yeah. Well, I'm PJ Butta. Actually from San Diego originally, same neighborhood as Miss Rice there, and went to high school at Kearney High. Go Comets, K-Hop,
yeah.
and whoop whoop. Yeah. Only me and Miss Rice get that. But yeah, but when I was and like you guys, when I was in school, I was thinking of what's next. That's always the question. What are you going to do next? Your parents would probably say, go to college or something. And same with mine. So I was looking at colleges, but I know I didn't want to go to community college. I wanted to get out of San Diego. So I was looking at various colleges from USC to Loyola Marymount, San Diego State. And I chose, well, actually, I didn't choose. I actually got recruited by a college called University of Laverne, which is outside of LA, about 35 miles east of LA. It's a small private college. And I took a campus tour up there, and they had a radio program because what I wanted to do when I was your age was to be involved in the music industry somehow. So I wanted to either not be, I wasn't like, trust me, I can't play instruments. So it wasn't like I was trying to be an artist, but I wanted to be behind the scenes. So I wanted to be responsible for finding acts and signing them, which is called A&R. So at that time, colleges didn't offer like music businesses program. So I figured the closest thing would be radio broadcasting, which you guys probably don't know what radio is anymore, but it's like Spotify for old people. Um, that's what we listen to for our music. So that was kind of I wanted to be involved in that industry because radio played music, and they played the artists that I loved. So I found a university which had a broadcasting program, University of Laverne, and the great thing about them is that they would allow me to be on the radio, as a DJ my freshman year, while other colleges I'd have to wait my junior or senior year. So I ended up going to University of Laverne, leaving San Diego on my own. I didn't have any friends, didn't have any family up there. Now and that didn't scare me. It was kind of a good thing also when you leave your town because it forces you to kind of grow up and be independent. So I would not definitely not change that. But I met friends at school, got involved with the radio program. Now, when it's getting time for me to graduate, my plan was always I want to have a job before I graduated. So I made sure by the time I was a junior that I would get what is called an internship. So when you go to college, they have a program called internship program where you basically, whatever you're interested in, you can work in that field and get college credit for it. So it's like a class, but you're actually working. So I got an internship at a radio station, even though I wanted one at a record label in the music industry, but I had a full class load, so I only had nights free. And radio is 24/7, so I was able to work at night. So I got an internship at a radio station in Los Angeles. It was called Beat. It played hip hop and R&B, mostly R&B because it's hard to imagine hip hop wasn't really big at that time. So no one really played hip hop, but eventually did. So I got an internship there, and what I was doing was an internship for what is called promotions. So I was actually I was promoting the radio station, and we were called a street team. So we'd go out on the streets, drive the vans, we'd give out T-shirts, stickers, we'd go to concerts, we'd go to events to promote the radio station, and that was my thing. So I was doing this while I was in college still. And then I got involved more than just outside of promotions because whatever you want to do, you want to make yourself more valuable. You want to see, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing over here? And get to meet people because no matter what you want to do in life, the most important thing is networking, which means meeting people and keeping in contact with them. It's not really about what you know and all that. So networking, meeting people. So I was networking within my radio station, meeting people, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you answer phones for this one radio show, this show?" And I was like, "Okay." And this show was nothing I was involved in. It was a gang prevention show where, gang members would call in. We try to talk them off the cliff, basically, try to get them out the gang. I wasn't in a gang. I didn't know anything about it, but I answered the phones and I helped. And this show was also broadcast in San Francisco. So this show was in LA and San Francisco. So they would have the hosts fly in from San Francisco. And one day the hosts missed their planes and I was the only one there. So I had experience from college radio, being on the radio there. They threw me on. And that was kind of like my foot in the door. I guess you would say my luck moment. But luck is really just being prepared for when the opportunity happens. And luckily I had that experience. So when it did happen, I was ready. So I was thrown into the fire at the radio station, and then I looked at that as an opportunity to like, hey, this could happen again. You might as well just put me on. And plus, I said you could save money. You don't have to buy flights anymore, and it's always good when you can save a company money. So they put me on the radio. So I was on the radio in Los Angeles for over 30 years. I worked at the Beat. I worked at another radio station called Hot 92.3, which played, you know, old school R&B and funk, some old oldies. Probably some of the stuff you see on TikTok now, but you didn't know it was really old music. That's what I played. And then recently I was at a station called KDay, which played like 90s hip hop, which is probably you guys get familiar with from TikTok also. So I was on the radio doing that, and how I got involved at the Dodgers, which you see behind me, and I'm not at Dodger Stadium, by the way. I heard someone ask that. It wouldn't be packed like this, even though everyone's excited for the season to start. So I got involved with the Dodgers. There was a another radio personality who was a host. So they don't have these at Padre games, but at Dodger games and some other stadiums, they have what are called in-stadium hosts. And what they do is during the games, you'll see them in between innings playing games with fans, or they'll be interviewing fans, or even before the games, interviewing players. So that's what I do at Dodger Stadium. If you ever go to a game, you'll see me up on the big screen, the scoreboard, in between innings, maybe playing a game with fans, like find the ball under a hat. So I had a friend who was doing that, and he needed someone to sub for him. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And they had me audition, so they wanted to see if I could do it. And I filled in for him. And the funny story is that this was in 2014. I worked a weekend and then they never called me back. So I was like, okay, what happened here? Did they find out I was from San Diego? Thought I was a Padres fan? So fast forward to like 5 years ago, I had another friend hit me up, said, hey, the Dodgers are looking for an in-game host. And I was like, okay, I've done that before, but tell them I'm interested still. And at Dodger Stadium, they film everything. So they actually had the video footage of the games I worked. And they're like, we don't know why we didn't bring you back, but do you want to come back? So came back and been with the Dodgers for the past 5 years, which have been great years, at least the past three, because we've been in the World Series and looking for that three-peat this year. And it's a lot of fun, being in the sports industry. I've also involved with sports. I also work with the UCLA Bruins, so kind of do the same thing. If you ever go to Well, I mean, you guys aren't in LA, but if you go to college at UCLA, if you decide to go there, you might see me at the games doing the same thing, talking to fans, playing games with fans. And then more recently, there's a new minor league baseball team that's outside of LA, almost in between LA and San Diego, called the Ontario Tower Buzzers. It's a Dodger affiliate, and I'll be the actually PA announcer for that, so you'll actually get to hear me at those games there. And that's what I do, where I've been. I have many other things I do. I always say I'm like Jamaican man. I got so many jobs. The other thing I do, I still do radio. I have another radio show that's international. It's internationally syndicated. It's like a top 20 countdown show about the 20 most popular songs. Kind of do it every week. And then the other thing I do voiceover work. So I use my voice for commercials and stuff. You might have heard my voice on some things. And I also teach too. So just like your teachers, I teach at a college. It's a community college outside of LA called Mount San Antonio College, Mount SAC, where I teach broadcasting and audio production classes for those who are interested in editing audio. Maybe you want to do podcasts, teach you how to use the equipment to do a podcast and edit it so it sounds good, and also do voiceover classes. And I do a lot of things, and that's something I always taught my students when they were in college, just like, you may be in college not knowing what you want to do. So try different things, and then you may find out you like everything, and go ahead and try to do everything if you can. If as long as you're having fun, find something that you really love. For me, I've always loved music, always loved sports. I've been lucky enough ever since I left San Diego to be involved with both. And that's my story. I don't know if you guys have questions or you're just frozen. I can't tell with my screen there.
You guys have any questions for PJ? Anything? Don't be shy.
They're shy. They're not going to ask. I know how it is. They're like, no, I'm good.
I have one.
He's not an influencer. I don't know. He's not.
What'd you say?
Would you do voice work on?
Would I do voice work on?
Yes.
Oh, as far as where you can hear me, there should be one coming out called Capital One. Recently done a Brooks running shoe commercial. Other stuff, I don't even know if you'd watch commercials anyway, but those are stuff you can probably find them online. Capital One, Brooks running shoes. I'm trying to think. There's PayPal, Venmo one. There's so many. Oh, we have Nicole's joining us. Hi, Nicole.
Smaller. Okay, I do have questions from other students and
Yeah,
other
that's
periods.
good.
It says, what was your very first job? I almost feel like you touched on that a little bit. The internship that rolled into a
Uh,
job.
yeah. But if you really wanted to know, my very first job was at Dairy Queen in National City down there. Was my very first job. Uh, but yeah,
I
that
love
was the
it.
very first one. But in the industry, yeah, it was my internship at the radio station was the first one. With an internship too, it's not permanent. It doesn't guarantee you get hired. And sometimes you do it, and that's why when you get an internship, it's very important. You always want to do your best. You want to make yourself valuable. And for me, I did that. And so when my internship was over after the semester, they actually wanted to hire me, which was great. So that's why I always tell my students, I have like an acronym that I tell my students, and this applies to anything you want to do as far as career wise. It's called NILE, NILE. So the N stands for networking, which is what I talked about earlier, where you just want to meet as many people as you can, and keep in contact with them. And the great thing about, you guys, you can actually reach anyone through social media. I couldn't do that. So you're lucky enough if there's a career you're interested in and you want to know more about it, you can always hit someone up on social media. And then when you hit them up, keep in contact with them because that's a network. You want to build your network because mostly, and as most things, it's not really what you know, but who you know will get you that job. So networking is what the N stands for. The I is internship. So if you do go to college, definitely take advantage of an internship if you can. The L is luck, which I kind of mentioned before, but that's just being prepared for when the opportunity comes up. And then E is experience, and get as much experience as you can, whatever you want to do. If you really love something, you'll do it for free. I mean, internship, you didn't get paid. So I was actually working for like 6 months, a whole semester for free, getting college credit and stuff. Even when my really first on air job, even though I was working at the Beat, there was one radio station. I always forget about it. But while I was at the Beat, I worked at a radio station, which is in Oxnard. So that's 2 hours north of LA. That'd be like 4 hours from San Diego. And I did that. I had a radio show on there that was on in the graveyard. So it was on from like 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. when everybody's asleep. But I would drive from my college, which is about 2.5 hours away, every night because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So sometimes you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want something? And I really want to be on the radio enough to where I would make that drive on the weekends where everyone was having fun on the weekends, especially out of college. I would be asleep at 7 p.m., wake up at like 11 p.m. and drive 2.5 hours just to talk on the radio for about 4 hours. And then sometimes I'd have to work back to back days. So I would like sleep in my car or, luckily Oxnard's by a beach. I'd go to the beach, probably take a nap there and go back on the radio again. So it's just, make sure you love something. And if you love it enough, just do it.
That's what I told them. I tell all my students, I haven't had everybody in this room, but find something that you love, a career that you love. And there's not a day that I wake up and I'm like, oh, I have to go to work. Like I love what I do. And you could tell just from like the smile on your face. Another question, it says, as the host of the house, what is one stadium tradition you insist they participate in?
Oh, one stadium tradition that I insist. I know we have. Oh, hey, there's a Dodger shirt in the front. I see you.
Hi.
Uh, what I do is yeah, right before the game starts and they're about to throw out the first pitch, I always tell the crowd, on Dodger Stadium, it's one of the biggest stadiums in baseball. It's like 54,000 people. So, I always tell everyone, hey, we're about to begin, on the count of three, say, let's go Dodgers with me. And I'll go one, two, three, and just everybody just screaming out, let's go Dodgers. That's kind of the thing I do. And then, Dodgers have their own traditions right after that. They have people will come up right after the first pitch, of course, it's tradition. And then after that, they honor Vince Scully, who was the used to do the play-by-play for the Dodgers, and a baseball legend as far as broadcasting. He would always go, "It's time for Dodgers baseball." So they always say that right before the first official pitch of the game. That's a tradition.
Okay, very cool. Any questions, guys? Zach? Somebody was wondering, how did you come up with your name? People.
Yeah. So my government name is really Paul Joseph Kalansky. Um, so when I was working in radio at a R&B station, the Beat, it was catering to the black community. So obviously I couldn't use my real last name because that would not give me enough street cap cred. So at the time, Butta was kind of slang for, what would be dope or cool or something like that. And there was actually a DJ who was on because when I was on the street team, we would have to go into the studio and talk to the DJ and kind of promote where we're going to be at. They're like, hey, we got PJ here. Where are you going to be at? It's like, hey, I'm going to be, at the In and Out, in Pomona. Come out and see me. I got T-shirts, stuff like that. So the DJ would go, man, your voice is smooth like butter. So I was like, oh, PJ Butter sounds like peanut butter. So kind of stuck, I guess. But then everyone else that was part of the street team crew I had, there was a team of like 12 of us. A lot of them had food names for whatever reason. So we had a guy whose name was Cornelius, who went by Corn Dog. There was a girl, for whatever reason, her name was Cheesecake, I think because she always smiled a lot. So there was kind of like this food theme going on. And that's how I got my name. And as much as there was a point where I didn't like it and wanted to get rid of it, but I've had it for so long that that's what people know me by. So that's the story of my name.
I don't even think I knew your whole real name till like right now.
Yeah,
Like
Paul
Joe.
Kalinsky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm being from San Diego, I'm half Filipino, so the other half is always someone in the military. So I always go, I'm half Filipino, half Navy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing. What's the favorite part of your job? The absolute favorite part of your job?
Which jobs? There's a whole bunch, but I guess the Dodger one. I think for me is because I've always been a baseball fan. So just being there, able to watch the game is the most fun. And it's even more fun to experience like a World Series because not every team gets to do that. And for me to experience that twice is amazing. And to be a part of that, one of my most memorable moments when it comes to World Series is the first World Series that was 2 years ago when they were playing the Yankees. If you guys watched it, remember when Ice Cube came out?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to announce Ice Cube on TV. So that was me going, LA, throw up your dubs and make some noise for Ice Cube. And that was me, and everyone heard me who knew because I didn't tell anyone, so people just knew like, hey, was that you that just announced Ice Cube? I'm like, yeah, that was me, and that was like last minute too, like literally like, hey, can you introduce Cube? Uh, because the reason was the regular PA announcer, they said he sounded too just didn't sound right for the job, so they asked me to do it. And I was like, yeah, and just they're like you have 7 seconds and they're like say whatever you want to say, but you have 7 seconds because this is for TV. So I came up with that. Luckily, it hit the mark at 7 seconds, and that's a iconic moment, at least in LA when Ice Cube came out. So I was happy to be a part of that.
It was cool. I actually pulled up your Instagram and I played that for them
Oh
yesterday.
yeah,
So they
okay.
saw you walk out. Yeah, it was sick. You said, did you have a question in the back?
What's your average yearly income?
Average yearly. What are we doing? Taxes here? What's it varies. It varies, but yeah. So I don't know the average. I mean, it's definitely you're looking depends what you do. That's why I have many jobs, but it's definitely over six figures. But just to give you an idea of what each one makes, um, so let's say if you want to, which you probably don't, which is sad, but I get it. If you want to be in radio, let's say if you want to, so if some days someone makes radio cool again, you guys like Yeah, kind of like vinyl. You guys are into vinyl now. But radio, and well, radio doesn't pay as much as it used to, but you're looking at someone who's on the radio. They're making average depending what city they're in. Let's say you're in, let's, if you're, there's a difference. Let's say you're in LA and you're on the radio, you're probably making like minimum maybe 80,000 a year now. While San Diego, because it's a smaller city, you're probably making closer to 45, 50,000. And there's other factors that factor into that. Um, so if you want to do that, if you want to be, in sports, depending what you want to do. So like for in-game hosts, I mean, it's only season, it's like a seasonal job. It's like working at SeaWorld or something. So it's not like you have the salary. It's just based on games. So you get like $300 a game, something like that. Which is not a lot, but for me, it's like it's more of just being involved with the game and the other perks that come with it, just from the recognition and people doing that. Let's see what other jobs. Voiceover, you can definitely make a lot of money in voiceover if you have the acting skills. It's not just the voice, but also it's more like acting. So that you have people who are really successful in voiceover that definitely make, almost to a million because they're constantly working. Because you figure there's a lot of things that need a voice besides commercials. There's now you have like the voice of Siri. All these things, all these AIs need voices now. So there's different, so different ways you get paid through voiceover. Trying to think what other jobs do I have. I don't know, but yeah.
Very cool. Anything else, guys? It says one question was, do you like DJing or being a game host more?
Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about DJing. But DJing with like or on the radio. Either way, I like. Ooh, I guess now would be being a host more so. Now, if it's DJing, as far as like I'm playing music at a party or something, depends the party because I do that too. I love DJing. Getting to choose music and see people dance.
Yep.
So that's a lot of fun. As far as radio, that's not as fun as it used to be because it's become a little corporate. But yeah, so definitely the hosting and being involved in the sports is more fun for me at this point in my life.
Very cool. I wanted to tell you really quick, this is random. But I was listening to Sway in the morning the other day on Sirius Radio, and they brought you up and they were talking about you. And somebody called in and they were talking about PJ Butta, and I was like, what? This is crazy. But they were talking about like the impact you had on them and like hearing you every morning. And I don't know if you caught that, but
Yeah,
really
that was
cool.
I think what you're talking about is and maybe you guys are familiar with him. If not, if you're into like really into R&B music, there's a young DJ by the name of Joe K. He has a show that's on SoundCloud and also Apple Music called Soulection. I think it's called Soulection, where it's just these deep R&B cuts. I don't know if you guys know Leon Thomas, stuff like that. So um, he's he got inspired by me because when I was on the radio, on my radio show, I would always play new music. I'd break new music. So I'd find, and I'm really in the R&B, so I'd like find these R&B artists and play them on the radio. And as a kid, he would listen, and that inspired him he wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to find artists and break them on the radio. So his story is, not only did he listen to me, but actually I know his uncle. He would come up as a kid with his uncle and sit in on my shows sometimes. And I didn't realize this till actually recently. I was like, oh wow, that's the kid. So now, what he did when he got old enough, he went to college. He went to a community college, Long Beach State, got involved with the radio program there, and was kind of imitating my show, but making it his own. And through the years, it's got to be like 12-year period now, he's built this following that went from his college radio show to online, from posting up his stuff on SoundCloud to now, as on Apple Beats, to now he's like traveling the world playing venues, just strictly playing R&B and not even like R&B up-tempo dance music, not like Chris Brown, more like the real mellow, romantic love songs, which is crazy to see that he'd have like 500 to 5,000 people just pack this house and just kind of just vibing to the music. And now he's I just saw, actually this morning, I just saw a list from someone naming their favorite DJs, and he was like listed number two. So that's why when he was on Sway in the morning, they asked him how he got into it, and he brought up my name.
Yep,
Mm,
exactly. That's
You
awesome.
know?
It like went full circle. I was so excited.
It
Um,
did. I actually just saw him last. There was a Grammy event he was DJing at, so I hung out with him and just to see him do that, it was amazing. It was like he took what I wanted to do at the time. It's just the bad. It just wasn't the right generation for when I did it to
mhm,
a whole level. It's like wow. I mean, this is what I wanted to do, but at the time when I was doing radio, everything was just Atlanta crunk. Kind of like Little John, East Side Boys. It was no one was really R&B like that. There was a little neo soul, but never on the level that it is today.
right, right. You said, did you have one more question?
Miss Rice told me you did stand-up comedy. I was just wondering if you could like maybe
Yeah. What's the question about? Just want me to?
just crack me a joke.
They
Oh,
want to hear a
crack.
joke.
Oh, I don't think I could say them for this class. Sorry, guys, I can't tell these jokes here. But yeah, I actually just started it. It was just again, it's something pursuing that I was fun and I want to do. As I've gotten older and you guys will get there, you'll figure out that there's certain things as time is running out. You have your bucket list of stuff you want to do. So comedy was one of them. Another thing, and I don't know if this has been said, but I also been recently diagnosed with prostate cancer, which I have no problem talking about. So that kind of also is like, okay, hey, wait a minute. That makes you look at life totally different to where, you need to sit back, relax, and pursue your dreams or the stuff you didn't have a chance to do. And comedy was one of them. So that's why I do it. I have fun enjoying it. I actually have a show in Pasadena tomorrow night that I'll be doing. Um, so yeah, but I can't tell the jokes, unfortunately. Sorry.
I know I clicked on your Instagram and immediately was like, oh, I come from a Navy state, my mom loves, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I actually said maybe I could do that one. I was like, oh no, I can't say that one.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't say that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So caught a glimpse. They have your Instagram. So real quick, maybe one more. What was your mindset in high school and what was your plan? I feel like you kind of touched on that, but
Kind of it, yeah. I mean, it was just like, when I was in high school, and Miss Rice will know, our high school wasn't the greatest. Um, our high school's so bad, we don't even have high school reunions. It's that bad. Plus we don't probably didn't have enough students that graduated to have a high school reunion.
yeah.
But my plan was always, I just wanted to kind of get out of San Diego. I knew I didn't want to go to community college, which is nothing wrong with community college. It's just for me, my mentality at the time was like, it's just going to be like high school. And I just didn't want to make it. I wanted to progress and not just be stuck in that high school mentality because I knew all my friends were going to the same community college. And then also thinking that, well, if I move out of San Diego, then it just will force me to kind of grow and be independent and find my own way. So that was kind of my mentality was just to get out, make my own trail. No one in my family went to college, so I didn't have a blueprint. I did everything on my own. I grew up with a single mom, and my mom was not from this country. She was straight from the Philippines, and she was always working, so she wasn't there. So I was already kind of independent anyway. I just luckily, and I think about it, it's like I don't know how I did a lot of things I did on my own, but I think just that your instincts kick in. It's much like I have a daughter now, and she's 21, and she kind of just did the same thing. Like she left home, moved to Portland, currently lives in San Francisco, and a lot of family members are like, you can't make it on your own. You're going to San Francisco, it's very expensive. How are you going to survive? No one can find jobs these days. What are you going to do? And my daughter moved to San Francisco. She initially went to college, found out it wasn't for her, which is great. College may not be for you, which is fine. And that's what I told my daughter. But she tried it. It's like, it's not for me. Cool. Figure out what's for you. And she found out that, beauty school is her thing. And Portland was too sad. It was too much raining. So San Francisco was more better for her. So she moved there, found two jobs within 2 weeks of just moving there. She was in an Airbnb. So found two jobs, found a place in the city, which is unheard of because living in actual San Francisco city is expensive. But she's doing it. And that also kind of inspired me like, hey, I forgot when I was 17, 18, 19, and I went on my own. I figured it out and I survived. And that's you guys don't be afraid. You can do it. Don't let fear hold you back from whatever your dreams are.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, PJ got a little pop up here.
Oh.
It says the meeting will end in about 10 minutes. Real quick, thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
What is the best part of your career? The absolute best part of anything you've ever done in your career? What would you say is your highlight?
Ooh, God. I don't know. I got probably recency bias with the Ice Cube thing, but there's so many things that have happened. Uh, I'm 52. I don't look it, but I've done a lot of things. Like I've been on TV shows, and maybe you guys watch them because there's been a kind of resurgence of the younger generation discovering like 90s TV shows. So I was actually on a show called Moesha, which you can find on streaming, where I actually played myself. So the whole premise of the show was, I don't know if you know the R&B singer Brandy, uh, who and I'm trying to think what the popular TikTok song you know, like "The Boy Is Mine," with Brandy and Monica, maybe. Anyway, so Brandy had this show, and they heard me on the radio and had an idea of Brandy, who the character is Moesha, would call up the radio station and win tickets to a big concert, kind of like a Coachella event at the time. And it was a two-part episode, and there was a lot of musical artists on there. So that was kind of like a moment for me, which was kind of cool because that's kind of you could find that anywhere that'll last way before I'm alive because that's actually documented. So being involved with that, being involved with like being the first to play artists. Like I was one of the first people to play. I'm gonna say these artists. I don't even know if you know them. So I don't know you. Like your teachers would know. So like Eminem, Alicia Keys before she came out. Um, like Maxwell's and stuff like that. Usher was already out, but there's sometimes I get stuff, unreleased stuff from Usher, and get in trouble for it. So I think for me, it was like breaking artists was also a highlight for me. And being involved at a radio station at that time, which was the mid 90s, when hip hop was still kind of growing. Um, so like this was like when I was starting radio at the same time Snoop. See now you know who Snoop is. Snoop came out, so I've seen Snoop when he was kind of growing up to where he is now, being involved with him. And it was just that great time period to be involved of seeing this kind of hip hop art form go to and see where it's at today and see some of the artists like Snoop, like Cube, like a Dr. Dre and Eminem, see where they've gone. So I guess those are some of the highlights. And then, highlights not related to that, especially as a teacher, and I'm sure your teachers can attest to this, is to see my students succeed. So I have a lot of students who've gone on and done great things. I got a bunch of students working in the industry, um, whether they're, and a lot of students working in sports too. So I run into a lot of them. I just saw a student who works for Apple Music and has a show and always posts clips. And just seeing him, and he was not good as a student as far as work, as far as how he sounded, and I didn't know if he had a future as far as broadcasting or putting on a show. And now, and I had texted him, I was like, man, you came a long way since sitting in my class, and I'm very proud of you. So I think seeing my students succeed also is very rewarding for me, a highlight for me too.
Very awesome. Anything else, guys? All right. I think that's it, PJ. If there's any last words you want to tell them, any words of wisdom,
Let's see, we
but
got
I
six
can't
minutes
thank you
left.
enough. Yeah, about
Yeah, I see
six
it.
minutes. And I just wanted to say honestly, like, thank you for your time. You're so busy. Your Instagram is insane. So I'm like, how is he finding the time? So I'm so thankful.
Yeah, I don't know how I find the time. I've always done it my life, I've always had more than one job, I'm used to it. I guess, whether you guys are, I guess the message would be, like I've been saying, you're in school now and you're probably like, this sucks. I hate this. Can't wait to get out. It'll get better. But the thing is, it'll only get better if you pursue the things that you want to do, that you love. That will make you better. If you pursue things or just kind of settle, don't settle. If you settle, then it won't be fun, and it'll be just as bad as it probably is for you now, sitting in class, looking at me, wondering who is this guy and why are we doing this? But are happy you're probably not doing work or getting a lecture. I get that. But yeah, pursue what you love. Don't let fear hold you back, and don't ever forget that, even when you get older, because sometimes we do.
Perfect. Anything else, guys? If you can please say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, and
All
enjoy the
right.
rest of your day.
All right. Take it easy, okay?
All
We'll
right,
be in
bye.
touch. Okay.
Okay,
Bye. Thank
bye.
you.